tell you what, this to me feels like, I don't know, I'm home. There's something about the Phoenix Spiritual Group and coming here and the crowd that comes in that I just have been so excited about sharing my book with you all. So I just want to thank you anyway for being here and for giving me your time. I must say that first of all, okay? Now I'm going to scoot through a talk very quickly to get everything I want to say out in half an hour. So as Jackie said, if you want to come and say hi to me afterwards, if I haven't covered off things or you've got questions, I will be there, okay? So I'm going to send you on a little whistle-stop tour. Is there anybody here who is doubting still that there is such thing as an afterlife, or doubting that you can communicate with the spirit world? Have we got believers here today? Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Okay, so those of you who know me, you may know that I'm quite skeptical and analytical. So as much as I know that the spirit world is real, and I will share some more with you on this, I'm also somebody who couldn't just accept. I do admire people who can just say, I've had that experience and I absolutely know this is it, okay? For me, I'm like, I had that experience. I know it's real. How do I understand it better? And have I got it right? So this book is different than perhaps many of the books you may have read on the subject by a medium, because I bring in the science as well as the personal experiences and the true stories. Now, when I say science, a lot of people go, I don't want to listen to the science, that'd be boring, okay? But let me reassure you, I need things in a simple way. So I'm not sharing data. I'm just saying, did you know this exists? Because I believe that, as I know, because I've been hands-on in this field now for 23 years, that we don't know the vast amounts of research that are happening out there. So for me, this is a book not about me, okay? I want to stress that. This book I've written because the spirit world have told me for 20 years that I had come to write for them, to reach other people with the message that life goes on, that it is eternal, and that love never dies. And so the book is not an autobiography, can I just make that clear? Although it shares my true experiences, it really is, I hope, a book that you can read and understand that you are spirit and that you have the ability to enter into communication with the spirit world for yourself. So the idea, I think, of a medium is to just show you what's possible, not to do it for you. Because I don't believe there's any difference between yourself and myself. The only difference is I'm a bit of a para-nerd. And so when I had these experiences, I threw myself into understanding it and literally sat week after week after week after week in development for a decade, non-stop, trying to build a connection with the spirit world and have experiences that led me to have evidence for the survival of consciousness. And I believe I have that now. But I'm fully aware that you have to have that for yourself. So when I speak, I don't want you to believe me. I want to give you tools, tips and understandings about how you may have that relationship for yourself. So this talk is going to be a little bit about what the message of the book is, but it's also going to be to give you just a couple of the tips that are in the book so that you can learn something today that even if you didn't want to read the book or buy the book, you can take away, okay? To give you something. Because to me, the message is what it's all about, not the medium, okay? So, for 20 years, as the spirit world kept bringing these messages, asking me to write for them, I didn't know how that was going to come about. I'm not a writer, I don't believe. I failed GCSE English twice, okay? So this is what I mean. I try and write it in a very accessible way, and I couldn't believe that the spirit world was saying we were going to entrust you with this. But, and it's a long story short, so I haven't got time to share it here, literally, as I'm sitting in my own living room doing nothing other than decorating, I get a call from out of the blue from a lady called Teresa Chung, who's a Sunday Times best-selling author. And the week before that happened, I'd received a message from the spirit world saying, the time is now. You're to put your head above the parapet. You are to learn the science because it's important to your message. You will be online first, and literally telling me the dates of how this was going to unfold. And I kid you not, I have the recordings, it's all there, okay? And I get a call from Teresa Chung saying, you've been recommended to me. I visited the Arthur Finney College, and you've been recommended to me. I'm really, really sorry. I don't know who you are. And I've never seen your work before. And I said, you wouldn't have done, because I hide in the shadows where it's comfortable, and I just get on doing my thing, and I trust that those who need my message will find their way to me. Well, Teresa and I struck up an instant rapport. Have you ever had that feeling where you meet someone and your soul just goes, I know this person already? Okay, that was Teresa and I, okay? So we started working, and then she said to me, I've had the bright idea, Claire. I believe I'm going to ask if you can write a book with me, okay? And as soon as she said that, I just knew. I knew this is the book, and Answers from Heaven was written between us. And it did very well, and I thought that was it, okay? And I thought, I've done what they asked of me, I can go back to the shadows, happy days. Because no one likes to stick their head above the parapet, let me tell you, in this line of things, okay? I get called fraud, I get called grief vampire, I get called all sorts of names, because this is controversial. But the truth is the truth, so you've got to stand up for it, haven't you? So anyway, then more messages came. That's not the book, that's the springboard, okay? There's a book to come that you write in your own right, and it will be published. You will start writing February 2017. I think it was 17. I lost track of the time. Anyway, it's all. I'll work that out later. But true to form, it happened. Phone call out of the blue. I'm doing nothing. I haven't chased any of this. Okay, I haven't chased any of this. Out of the blue comes an editor asking me, I'd like to give you a book deal, would you please write for us? And I start writing in February, okay? So I know that if you're standing here, you are receiving a message from Spirit that they want you to have. Because I truly did not go for this in my life. This has happened to me. And it's because the 7 lessons I'm going to just give you now, the spirit world want out there. So I sat down at the table saying, okay, to my spirit guides, if you want me to write a book, here I am. How do I begin? And I saw Whitefeather, who is my main spirit guardian, flash in my mind, and I got the words, what the dead are dying to teach us. Okay? And I wrote it down, thinking, that's inspired, because it was. Okay? They've got such a good sense of humour, the dead, because they're not dead. So it's quite funny, really, isn't it? You know? And then followed words. This is not to be a book of answers. This is to be a gateway of knowing. Once you have understanding, I can't even see, it came through me. I can't even remember it. But once you have knowledge, understanding, answers will no longer be necessary. So it's these 7 lessons. First of all, you are spirit, okay? We don't understand what consciousness is. We don't understand it at all scientifically, but we all know we're conscious. And we haven't understood this universe yet if we don't understand what consciousness is. For me, the words spirit, consciousness, awareness, psyche are all interrelated. If the physical body dies, there is an aspect of us that moves on. What is that aspect? It's the non-physical part of us, the essence of us that was never physical anyway when you're even in physical form. Consciousness, mind, personality, essence. Now, I know people will say, well, that comes through the brain. You know, the brain influences that, and it plays its part. But underneath all that is an awareness. It's you observing everything that's going on around you, and it's that part of you that's eternal, because it was never physical in the first place, which is why, even though we know we're conscious, scientifically, because we try to measure everything materially, we don't understand it, okay? We can understand the brain, but we don't understand what consciousness is. So if we don't understand that, then we don't really understand the whole of our universe. So when somebody says to you it's impossible to live on or for consciousness to survive physical death, they don't know that. And people say that all the time. People say the afterlife isn't real, you know, you're making it up, it's delusional, you've imagined it, okay? But we don't know that. And in fact, what we do know is that imagination, awareness, consciousness, and all of that is something that drives everything from our ideas that we hold comes into material form, everything that you see around you here right now, okay? Even the book came out of nowhere, out of nothing, a thought form into physical, okay? So our worlds are interrelated. And the spirit world want you to know this. They want you to understand that you are that. You're more than just your physical body. And because of that, you can transform into a different state of being when you die and move into another form of reality, dimension, okay? Because that dimension is already here, you're already part of it, and in which case you can't be snapped off from that or separated from it. You are spirit. When you understand that, you don't have to fear spirit communication, because really what we're talking about here is the communication soul to soul, and it doesn't really matter whether you're in physical embodiment or not. When you're communicating with spirit, when we're communicating with each other, even as you're listening to me now, you are connecting with me inside of me, not my physical form, aren't you? Okay, the next lesson that I want to share with you, there's much more of this, by the way, in the book. It's more interesting. I'm just whizzing through, okay? The next lesson is that death is an illusion. Now, the reason I can say that is because if you can understand that we don't understand what consciousness is, and that there are many scientific research projects going on now trying to understand what consciousness is. It's the new field of science, consciousness research. If you can accept that, then you can accept that our reality, actually, the way we experience our reality, I should say, is very limited, okay? We experience the world through our physical body, through our eyes, through our ears, through our brain, and it limits things. It limits your experience so that you're not overwhelmed. But actually, there is so much in our universe that we can't even see. The human eye only sees something like 0.05% of everything, okay, that's available to us out there in the universe. We understand scientifically that our reality, this physical reality, isn't even what it seems. So the chairs that you're sitting on and the bodies you're inhabiting and the floor I'm standing on isn't physical at all at the quantum level, okay? It's all space and potential of protons, protons and neurons whizzing around. And so you are solid on one level. It's called living in the contradiction. And on another level, you are not. You are already ghost-like, okay? So I like to think of it a bit like you have ice, water, steam, okay? And we can move through these different realities, dimensions, forms, and we do that in physical form. So death is an illusion isn't about belittling the fact that you've experienced a bereavement in life. It's not saying your loved ones haven't died. They have. Their physical body is gone, and I fully appreciate that you missed them. And that physicality, the voice, the hugs, the advice is gone in physical form. But when you understand that you move or transition into a new way of being, and the intelligence, the love, the essence, the energy is all there, just in a different state, then you can understand that your loved ones are still there, okay? Just in a different way. And it also can relieve you of fear of dying, a little bit, yeah? I've got children, I don't want to leave my children behind, I'm petrified, I'm responsible for them, I don't want to go anywhere, but I am not frightened of death. And those in spirit who have come back and proven this to me have given me such peace of mind and the ability to live my life to the full. I just want you to have a little bit of that. And you probably already do because you're here, okay? The third lesson is you are never alone, okay? I promise you, you are never alone. Many of us feel that, well, let's face it, the world's tough, isn't it? Life's tough. And we come in on our own and we go out on our own. That's what we're told. Not quite true. I mean, we do. But you know how your mother or your family are here nurturing you, helping you, or friends, or hopefully there's somebody there, even if it's the nurses around you or your school teachers. You know, there are people in this world whose compassion and empathy makes them want to help others. And in the same way, that exists in the spirit form, because you are that already, yeah? So why would you change? If you enjoy helping people now, you'll enjoy helping people in spirit, if not more so, because you understand that you're all connected. So helping another is helping yourself. And we have spirit guidance. We have not only our loved ones around us, but we have spirit teachers, guides, guardians. Many people believe in angels. But, you know, there are many intelligences out there that exist in these other dimensions of reality that we can't perceive with the physical body very well, who are trying to help us. And I know it's quite difficult. People say to me, well, why do people suffer? Where's their guardian angel? Okay, I'm not talking about, we have to detach ourselves from the physical reality here. Okay, I'm not talking about the physical reality. I'm talking about the dimension of consciousness, awareness, intelligence that seems to hold it all together. They're there. They're there in mind and in energy. So if they cannot always influence the physical world, and I cannot understand everything, I don't have all the answers, all I can say to you is my personal experience, and I share in the book how I know this and how I was introduced to my own spirit guardian. I know that none of us are alone, okay? Your loved ones are with you always, because that bond of love never separates you. Which leads me on nicely to you can rise above fear, okay? Which is the next lesson. Because many people say, okay, well, I'd like to know if my loved one's there then, but I'm frightened of opening a doorway between the spirit world and myself. I have lost count of the amount of people that say, if I open my mind up to this, I'm frightened I can't shut it down. Okay? And as you're all believers, I would imagine that you have perhaps had different types of fears with regards to spirit communication. Some people are just frightened of it altogether, aren't they? But then when we start with it, we're wondering, do I understand what I'm doing? Okay? So, at the end of the day, this lesson that I share is all about how you can rise above fear. The intention is everything, okay? The intention, your intention and your heart and your mindset mean that like attracts like, and that you don't ever have to fear being in communion with those that you love, because if they love you and you love them, what's to be frightened of? And that love raises you up higher than the lower spheres of intelligence, okay? We know it in this world, don't we? Like attracts like. We're all here because we're like-minded. It draws us together. We're all loving, nurturing people, seeking a spiritual experience and wanting to help. And here we are, okay? It's the same in spirit. So I cover in this lesson all about how you don't need to be frightened with what you've learnt through religion, how you find a medium that you can trust, and how you can not be frightened to have that communion yourself, okay? Love never dies is the next one. And I've just touched on it, haven't I? That bridge between the two worlds, as we're always taught, comes through love. And if you love someone, that continues. So the death of the physical body does not end a relationship. It doesn't. It ends the physical body. But your loved ones who have gone on, you still love. And it's reciprocated, if not more so, because from spirit they've got a wider perspective now. They understand what it is they've achieved, learnt and grown from, and why it is that you all came together. So their depth of respect and love for you grows. So do not feel that you have lost that love. It's still there, okay? Then the next lesson is ask and it will be given, because many of us don't realise we need to ask. The spirit world your loved ones don't come and railroad you. They don't want to just, and they're not going to just take over your lives. Who wants to do that for everyone else? We're all busy doing our own lives, aren't we? We don't want to do someone else's as well. So if you ask for help, you've set the intent. I'm ready. I'm ready to receive. Because you have to be ready for this. You have to have reached a point in your understanding or in life experience where you're ready for this. And then when you ask, just stand back and allow them to express themselves in the way that they know they can, okay? Don't demand. Understand it's not easy for them getting through to you. And I write in the book all about why it is that we find it difficult to do spirit communication and how our brains are so active as adults and what we need to do to move our brain across into an altered state in order to be able to perceive spirit, okay? The last lesson is, sorry, it's a whistle-stop tour. The last lesson is nobody dies alone. And I share lots of research from palliative care nurses, from doctors who've worked with the dying, sharing deathbed visions. And I also share what I've learned from the spirit world when they come back and communicate and they show me their transition. They show me what the conditions they had of passing, and then they allow me to see many times what they experienced afterwards. The beautiful thing is it's as unique as birth. It's different for everyone. But the main thing is no one's on their own. There's always loved ones there. And I find it fascinating that research, such as the research of Dr. Penny Sartori, for instance, who's worked with the dying, shows that people that are dying talk to deceased loved ones. They never talk to living loved ones. Isn't that fascinating? They see those that have passed. My mother's coming for me. It's okay, I can die now. You know, honestly, it's so uplifting when you hear those that are dying. It's such a sacred time. We can learn a lot from them. So the purpose of that chapter is to let you know what perhaps may be something you could expect, so that you feel empowered. If you're ever with a loved one who's dying, that we often feel out of control, don't we? Because we can't help them physically. But if you can understand their spirit, their energy, you're communicating to the essence of them, you can surround them in light, you can lift them and help them cross, knowing that they are going to be greeted the other side. It's like a doula. It's like a doula. It's like gently helping them across, knowing they'll be received the other side, okay? Because it must be quite an adventure, I should think, being suddenly free of the physical body and then whoosh, you're having this most amazing experience where you're taking on board everything you couldn't because it was filtered out by the physical body. Now, I'm nearly at the end of this talk. I hope I've wet your whistle, okay? But I promised to share you some tips. So in the book, there is lots of calls to actions. The reason I've called it calls to actions is because you can have all the knowledge in the world. If you don't put it into play, then you're never going to gain from it, okay? The only reason I can share these amazing experiences I've had is because I've got hands-on with it and tried to experience it. So some of the tips I share, because there's a lot in the book, so some of the tips that I share that I just want to share with you today is to encourage you to meditate. I've already touched on the fact that I share some of the science about the brain in chapter 1, okay? When we understand that our brain is an electrical piece of equipment, that we move into altered states of awareness all the time, from sleep to daydreaming to awake to, and if you can understand that when you move into an altered state, you become much more in tune with the spiritual dimensions. How many of you have seen loved ones in your sleep, for example? Okay? So when you understand, when you move into that altered place, you can access a reality that you are distracted from in everyday life because your thoughts and thinking are very much in this world. When you put the practice of meditation into your life, you begin to still the mind. It isn't rocket science. Mediums call it sitting in the power. It's about sitting in that space and just allowing yourself to go still, to perceive the energy around you, and then you start to feel the essence of people that are in non-physical form there. But if you're going to be distracted and thinking all the time, you haven't got a hope, okay? So meditation, and I share a tip in there about how you can bring meditation into your children's lives and meditate together in a fun way. It doesn't have to be sitting there for hours. It can be a few minutes every day. We all know this, right? Another thing I share is how to get the spirit world to interact with you in your dreams. So ask before you go to sleep. Ask. There's that thing again. Ask for them to come. If they're able to interject into your sleep, they will. They can create with you, okay? Because we're talking about mind, consciousness, imagination, something that we always think isn't real or true. We belittle it, don't we? But Einstein even said he thought imagination was more important than intellect, because from your ideas comes everything else. Okay, so it's a real reality. Dreams are a real reality. You spend half your life there. So spirit can interject into your dreams. You may want to write a little telegram. This sounds really nuts, doesn't it? But you can try it out. Write a little telegram before you go to bed. I would like to know. See if you get an answer. You might see a reply. You may be in your sleep opening a book, seeing a reply, you know. The spirit world communicates through symbolisms. It's a universal language. So once you start to interpret that and realise that's a method of communication, then you start to get onto their level and understand how they communicate. I think we're guilty many times of expecting them to communicate like we do. And it's a new language we're learning, okay? Another tip is, I don't know if you've tried this, remote viewing. Everyone know what remote viewing is? Okay, it's where you send your mind out and you see if you can travel in mind to somewhere else and see what's going on. That's a fun exercise, okay? So I've done this with my own circle group before, where I've put something in a room and I've said to them, right, when you go home or when you're at home, see if you can come to my house and see what I've put out in that room. Okay, and we just do these exercises. It's about learning about expanding your mind and consciousness, because that helps. It puts you in touch with a greater reality. Remote viewing is for real. The governments use it. There has been so much science around remote viewing, and it's all in the book, okay, that basically psychic ability has been scientifically proven. It's just that we need a paradigm shift. We need to be able to change our way of thinking about reality. And at the moment, we're in a very materialistic viewpoint, okay? So the last thing I'm going to share with you, tip that I want to show you, is channeling. I think a lot of people believe that mediums do that, but we can all ask a question of our loved ones and sit there and see if we receive an answer, just like I did when I started writing the book. Okay, if you want me to write this, where do I begin? And then I just sat, and then boom, in comes some insight. Write it down, because you might find your thoughts are there in the first couple of sentences, and then after a while there's wisdom coming through, okay? And if it's helpful, that's the measure, isn't it? So I'm going to finish this talk by just saying to you, pay attention to the signs. Realise that there is more to this life than we truly understand scientifically. Nobody does have all the answers, and thousands of people across the world for millennia have had these experiences of spontaneous after-death communication, of deathbed visions, of near-death experiences, of past life memories in children. This is all in the book, okay? And they can't all be wrong, deluded, or conmen. There is so many of us. In any other way, shape or form, this would be accepted as a truth. It isn't. I don't know why. Perhaps it's fear. So look and pay attention to the signs. The spirit world do communicate with you in a different way. If you see the robin landing there at that moment while you're at your father's grave, perhaps there is something in that, because the robin is a symbol of spirit. The birds are a symbol of spirit because they are considered through time to be the link between the two worlds, because they have the bird's eye view, okay? You may hear a disembodied voice. Music may come on when you're not expecting it, of the song that was really meaningful to you. A feather may appear. You know, you may see someone in your sleep. The spirit world are dying to let you know they are there, okay? And I know this, my whole life has been this, and I know you know it. We know it in our hearts. We just sometimes, there's something about the human condition, as we grow older, we get cynical, we doubt, we let all that, which is very important, the academic way of thinking, sort of mar the personal experience. What we need to do is bring the two together, and it's actually happening. Scientists, practitioners are coming together now to try and understand this more, and this is what the spirit world want you to know. They just want you to know they're there. They love you. It never dies, that love. Okay? So have hope. I hope you find this talk uplifting. And I just want to thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'd love to know what you know. I'd love to know what you think of the book if you read it, what you take from it. I'd really love your feedback, because I really feel this book came through me. I don't feel it's me, okay? So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes?
Yeah, so we've got time for a few questions before we do the book signing. So does anybody have any questions for Claire? Don't be shy. Lady at the back.
Do I need to stand or is it fine?
No,
That's fine. I'll just repeat the question when you've said it so everyone can hear it, okay?
Okay. I was just wondering, how young were you when you started realising that you had this kind of talent or gift or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, thank you. Oh, there's so much I want to answer in that. Okay, how young was I when I realised? Okay, I start the book, chapter 1's all about childhood and how in our childhood, all of us are having these experiences, I believe. We just get told it's imagination, okay? I was 4 when I first gave my first message from the spirit world. I share the story about me standing in a cemetery, feeling my grandfather come around me and knowing he was there. I heard in my mind, Claire, tell Nanny, Grandad says I love you, Ive. I didn't want to say the message because I was playing. But his persistence and the energy that he brought. Please, Claire, tell Nanny, Grandad says I love you, Ive. I stood up and I delivered the message. Now, my mum, who's at the back of the room here, you can ask her, she remembers it, and my nan were absolutely gobsmacked because a 4-year-old doesn't generally say that sort of thing. But the real defining moment in that was because I'd said her name in the way that my granddad called her. Because my nan only ever went by the name of Connie when I knew her. And I called her Nanny, and my parents called her Mum, sorry. So I didn't hear Ivy. So that was very significant to them, okay? But I didn't know I was a medium. I never thought I was a medium. I would never even called myself that. I just had many psychic experiences, which I line out in the book now. As I look back, I understand I was having them. But in my daily life, they were just part of a bigger, part of my life that I was just having dreams and premonitions and, just part of everyday experience. And then basically in my teens, my spirit guide started to do some things that really made me sit up. So I went to a medium just for some answers because I was having all sorts of phenomena going on. And she told me all about him and said, come and join my circle. And that's how it began. But even then, I didn't think I was a medium. And I want to say, I never call it a gift because I think that we are all gifted. It's just the same as some people are really great with paints. I can only draw a stick man. You have to develop it. And I just spent the time learning, okay? Answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody else? Yes.
I loved a bit in your book where you describe your earliest moments of remote viewing and flying down the stairs.
Oh, yes.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
And when I read that bit, I thought, yes, I remember that so clearly. I was about 3 years old, going to bed at night. Next thing I know, I'm flying down the stairs and into the front room.
I know. You see, this is the thing. Claire's saying that in the book I write about the fact that when I was a child, I had out-of-body experiences where I would leave my body and fly down the stairs and just have the most fun with it, okay? And I just accepted that as just normal, okay? It's only after, and I thought I was dreaming. I thought I was dreaming. So it just seemed all normal to me. It's only now, with 23 years experience as a practitioner, I realise I was actually, my conscious awareness was leaving my body and having fun. I was going back to my spirit form, flying down the stairs. And the amount of people that tell me, I did this. Exactly. And this is the thing. We don't share. We're too frightened to share because we fear ridicule. And I think the more we actually share our human experiences, the more we understand what life is, okay? So that's why I'm prepared to put my experiences out there on the line and let people ridicule them, because it's truth. I'm sharing a truth. There was a hand going up there.
You explained when you started the book, how did you know when you finished it?
Oh, I love that. Okay, to be quite honest, I could have written on and on and on and on and on and on. We have something called an editor. But I had, what I could see, I didn't know what I was going to write. Most books have a book proposal, so you have an outline put out, okay, first. So I wrote my outline and I thought, that's what I'm going to follow. This is my idea. And when I came to writing, no, it was just channeling, it was just going, whoo, whoo, all these things were coming through. And in the end, I realised there's 7 core lessons here. So rather than bore everyone to tears, I will give the core lessons and save the rest for another read. Otherwise, I'm going to lose you all. And it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed to organically come about. It was a beautiful process. I thoroughly enjoyed writing. So, and it kind of just finished where it needed to. It was, you know, I just went with the flow, I suppose, is what I'm saying. So thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
Are you taking evidence till the end?
As long as the books last. Otherwise, I should be sitting there. I hope to be there till the end. Yes. Is there anything else you want to know about the science? Or is anything that I've said that sparked off any, you know, do you know how much science is out there?
What was interesting for me, you said governments are now looking at it.
Yes.
Nobody ever tells you they do.
No, they don't, because it's classified.
Do you think they've kept that quiet for a reason and that we don't know this?
I think that
We're not ready for it?
it's an interesting thing, isn't it? I think there's an argument for saying that psychic ability in the wrong hands could be misused.
Yeah.
And also, why would you tell other countries if you've got something that you're using about it? So exactly. So I understand why the government don't. However, the CIA have released all of their, you know, files now on the research that was carried out. And it's all in the book. The book's full of sources where you can go and just find all of this out if you're really interested. If you're not, you can whiz through it, learn, oh, it's there. And if you really want to know, I've sourced everything so you can really get into it. But both the British government and the US government have been doing this for a long time. And it is real. It is real. It's there. But there's lots of science. There's lots of science. It's not just that. It's not just the psychic stuff. I share all the studies that are going on with mediumship studies. We are really breaking ground there with Dr. Julie Beischel and the research that she's doing. Even just in the therapeutic qualities of mediumship, understanding how it can really benefit some people with their grief and healing process. So, you know, there is so much going on, guys. It's exciting.
How did you find out what was going on?
I educated myself. I don't mean to disrespect people, but many of us come in, we have an experience with spirit, we get really excited about that and we leave it there. You know, we're just like, I know life goes on. I've got my bit of proof. Yeah, but I just needed to know more and I wanted to know. This is how it began for me. I began doing readings. I never intended to do readings, but people started coming to me. It wasn't going to be my work. I worked in advertising and for Disney. Okay, I had a conventional career. But people started coming to me asking for readings. Then they started leaving money. Then they started recommending me on. And before I knew it, I had this business and the weight of the responsibility on my shoulders, I started to think, have I got this right? I don't want to be accused of being fraudulent. Does science understand something I don't? Why are they so sure there's nothing else? And when I started to look into it and find the scientists that are actually, you know, exploring this field, I realised, no, we don't know. No one knows. They don't know. So when people stand up from the parapet and say there is no such thing as life after death, they don't know. They don't know. Okay? And so my personal experience has to inform me, as does yours. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So on behalf of Phoenix and Claire, I'm sure you'd like to join me in thanking Claire. We're very proud to have her as a Phoenix friend, a personal friend, and we're mentioned in the book as well.
Yes!